Hi, welcome back. My name is Srikanth. In today's session, we're going to look at Datasphere integration to the cloud applications like Salesforce and Workday using Open Connectors API connectivity. Open Connectors API connectivity in Datasphere is not native to the Datasphere application. This feature is leveraged from integration suite capabilities. With that, we can connect to the cloud APIs using a pre-built API integration options that includes authentication and API usage. In today's session, we're going to understand different options that are available for API integration in Datasphere or BTP. In this table, we can see there are three options. The first one is generic OData connection and integration suite or CPI, and then open connectors option to integrate with APIs. We'll start with generic OData connection. This is a standard pre inbuilt connection available in Datasphere to connect with generic OData services. And OData V2 V4 support is available, but not other than OData services. On the other side, Integration Suite or CPI has got integration capabilities using iFlow or integration flows, where you can configure API call, HTTPS, or REST and OData service API calls and get the response back. That includes authentications and response management. And the third option that we're going to talk about today is open connectors. This is an additional capability in the integration suite where you can readily consume them and start using them with the authentications, pre-built authentications and API call mechanisms. Let's take a look at the features and the comparison for all these three different options. So we'll start with the API protocol. As we discussed, generic OData connection is always only support OData API services. Your integration suite on the CPI can support multiple types of API calls and get the responses. And open connectors have a variety of API type calls, and then you can get the response and integration successfully done. So by looking at these three, clearly generic OData connection has a limitation to consume only OData service APIs. And then integration suite has many API calling features, but however, it's a different service and you may have to get the data processed using iFlow and save it in some intermediate storage and then process that from that particular storage into Datasphere as a separate connection and separate integration option. So you will need one connectivity in integration suite and another connectivity in Datasphere in order to leverage integration suite iFlows, which is kind of a difficult two-step process. On the third option, open connectors. So what we're going to do in this option, the API protocols, there are multiple pre-built API protocols or API connectors are already provided by SAP as part of open connectors, and then you can start consuming them directly, and they can directly integrate with or your Datasphere application. So you don't have to configure two-step process like using integration suite data flow or iFlow, and then another flow to create Datasphere. By using open connectors within the Datasphere, you can create one data flow to connect to the API, cloud APIs. So definitely this option get better feasibility in uses. And then setup is really fast in open connectors because it's really pre-built connectors available. You just create an instance in open connectors in service of integration suite and then start using them in Datasphere by creating a new connection. So it's really fast. And generic data connection, it's also very straightforward. You go and start creating a connection in Datasphere by providing authentication methods and etc., which are supported for that particular OData API call. In integration suite, it's not straightforward. You may have to create integration flow or iFlow in integration suite and then process that to intermediate storage and get the configuration, authentication, everything manually configure, which is going to take some more time. So it's not really easy to set up. And then last one that I wanted to talk about, license cost. This is free, included with Datasphere, but you have limitations though. And integration suite is not free. You got a new service instance created. You can create an iFlow. iFlow message processing is not very expensive. You got 10,000 messages per month in a basic standard plan. iFlow executions. However, it's a little bit cost, but more on the maintenance and development effort. On the third option, open connectors, it is very expensive because the license is by connector and easy to set up, but more license cost involved in using open connectors. So by comparing these three features, three options together, open connectors, even though it is expensive, it can directly integrate with your Datasphere system and connect to the several cloud APIs like Workday, Salesforce APIs using pre-built API configurations. So this one will stand as the better option at this time. So if you move on to the configuration part, you can see these Salesforce and Workday Cloud API cloud systems got pre-built connectors and integration suite open connectors capability. We create instances for each source cloud application, and the instances can be serving the purpose to integrate with these systems in Datasphere. So you can create a new connection in Datasphere, and then that connection will go through integration suite open connectors to the cloud applications and get the data loaded into Datasphere local tables using data flows, which are our ETL objects. And today we're also going to take a demo in the system. So by using open connector connection to Google Drive, and then load the data into Datasphere by using this open connector connection in Datasphere. Let's switch to the system. I'm going to access Datasphere. Before I come and create a connection in Datasphere, I'll have to set up my integration suite open connectors. Here in manage capabilities, you're going to add a new capability for the first time if you haven't set up open connectors before. Since I have already set it up, so you can see it's active, but I'm going to cancel it. If you wanted to do it for the first time, add capabilities and make sure you have extend non-SAP connectivity option selected for you. I'm going to cancel this because I already have it. So you can access this instance by clicking on this one and then create connections. I already opened this open connectors. In the home page, you can see all the available connectors here. You can click on view all. You can find the list of connectors. There are hundreds of them. And for this particular demo, we're going to use Google Cloud. And so what I'm going to do, create an instance for Google Cloud, or actually Google Drive. So go to the instances and create an instance for that. So go look for Google Drive. Select this and then give it a name and say Google Drive Open Connectors. That's my instance name. Give it a tag, Drive. It could be any instant tag. You can start creating an instance, but before create an instance, make sure you provided the API key and secret that is required to connect to the Google Drive. You can get that API key or secret for your Google account from API console. You just go to your Google account or in the internet, log on or type in console API console for Google, then you will be coming into the API portal here. And then from there, this is of course your Gmail account, and then just go to the clients and then open your client the client. Then now you can find the ID and secret. Grab the client ID from here and then input that in the API key. And then in the next step, also copy the client secret and put it in the API secret. This is all what you needed to connect to the Google Drive and say create instance. As soon as you put that information, it's going to ask which this particular application is trying to access the Google account. Select the Google account that you are trying to access and say continue and say continue. And this is going to provide access to your Cloud Open Connectors service app. Now, the service instance has been created, and then you can see the setup is completed, and you can see the Cloud Connector instance right here. And then in the next step, I will be using this connector in Datasphere. Switch to the Datasphere. In the connections page, you see the SAP Open Connectors. There is no open connectivity option here. So click on integrate your open connector. It's going to ask you to provide the region. It's the same region that where my Datasphere instance is also subscribed. So I'm going to choose that option. It says AWS US East. So I'm going to pick that one from here, US East AWS. And then organization secret and user secret. I can get this information for open connectors from the integration suite open connector instance. Click on the settings, copy the organization secret first, input that, then copy the user secret and input that as well. Say OK. As soon as you see that account creation is being completed successfully, and now it's green, you will be able to create a new connection. Say create new connection. It's going to allow you to use open connectors now. So click on open connectors and then choose the instance that you have it available in open connectors. I have 3 and I'm going to pick the one that I just created. Say next step, give it a name, say Google Drive. That's a technical name, and say create connection. It will not even ask for parameters to be configured because the parameters and connection string and every secret API user credentials are already taken from Integration Suite's Open Connectors account. So that's it, all done. My connection has been created. Now the next step is to use an ETL object like data flow and get the data from the API, which is Google Drive. So I'm going to have to open another a folder and then start creating a, a data flow. So in the data flow, I'll use the source, pick the connection, and use Google Drive. And you can see all the folders in the Google Drive. I'm going to select my folder, which is DSV integration used for this particular testing. And then I can find the file, which is a sample test file in there. Say next. It's going to add selection. That particular object is getting imported. Once it is available as the source in the data flow, I can configure that to the target local table and run the data flow so to load the data from this particular API into the Datasphere local table. It's been imported. Now you select that option and then say uh, create a data flow target. So you can do that by creating a template and just like this. You will have to create a deploy table if you wanted to complete the data flow creation process. But before I do that, I can display the data preview of the source object, which is a CSV file in my Google Drive. I wanted to see what is in there, the content of that particular CSV file. This is a qualified CSV file name path. It's going to read the data from the CSV file path now and then display it here. I haven't loaded, but I can do a loading process to get the data into a table, which is a local table in the data flow. The data has been displayed as preview. You can see there are 2 records in the CSV file as a sample file, and I'm able to load these 2 records into a local table of Datasphere. With that, we were able to integrate the data from a cloud API into Datasphere local table. So it's very simple. Right from authentication to API calls is being very straightforward and simple to configure because of the open connectors. So from this particular diagram, you can notice that though it is expensive in the license cost, but it is very easy to configure and it can be integrated with Datasphere easily. And then we can call the APIs from several cloud applications and get the data into Datasphere. That's all for today's session. I hope this is helpful. If you wanted to get more new sessions on these topics, please subscribe to my channel. And also you can reach out to me for detailed training at sorumpalliyes@gmail.com. Thank you. Bye for now.